You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, hello everyone, and here's our last program for the night. We have got a brand new program coming up here on the Six Screens. This is the debut program, The Tale of Two Witnesses. That's the name of the program. We got Gilbert Gonzalez. We got his brother Jesse. They've got a program that's going to really rock the nation, rock the ex-witness world, and we got them coming on here tonight. It's so wonderful. I'm thankful to both of them for coming on and wanting to be with us tonight. And I have to tell you, friends, what we do here. Let's just mute some people here. We got a number of platforms opened. So we're going to mute these people right now. But anyways, I want to say I'm so happy that Gilbert and his brother Jesse want to have a program here on the Six Screens. These guys are well known. They are making a big difference in exposing the Watchtower and getting people coming out of the Watchtower. We are so proud of them. We are so happy that they are doing that. So let's bring Gilbert on right now. Let's bring him on. Hello, Gilbert.
How you doing, Rick?
Well, Gilbert, I want to thank you very much for wanting to do a program here tonight. We'll kind of keep an eye on everything. I see there's a lot of people already that want to come in. So I want to bring Jesse on, but we got, I know he's using some different names here. So is that him? No, that's not him. We removed that. I'm not sure what one to use here for Jesse.
That one.
Are you there, Jesse?
Yes.
All right. So let's do that. So
I just
Jesse
flew in from Greece. Duo martyrum.
Yeah. If I had Jesse, if I saw Jesse here, it would be easier for me to work this. But let's do this. Okay. So I do see Jesse. Yeah. So. Okay, just trying to get things organized here. Okay, so let's do this. Let me bring you guys out. Let me introduce the program. I'm still having some problems here with Jesse's. He's coming on as Duo Matricom. I'm not sure what he's coming on as, but I'm having a hard time bringing him out.
Okay, it's real simple. It's the second witness in Greek.
The second witness in Greek. All right. Good. So I had no idea that was it.
Come
so
right on in. Welcome.
No, okay. All right. We gotta all right. So it's creating some issues here, Jesse.
Okay.
Could you so let's
bail out.
No, let's keep you there, but what I'm trying to do is I gotta get you out so I can introduce the program.
Oh.
So that's the issue I'm dealing with.
Okay.
I had no idea. So you're coming on as the second
Duo martyrum.
Okay, the second witness from I'm not sure. Okay, so let's just do this. Let's just bring you out. I'm going to remove you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring that out. So let's do this. Let's start the program. Let's start the program. We got a brand new program coming up here on the Six Screens. Stay with us. So, anyways, we have Jesse and we have Gilbert. So let's bring Gilbert on, and then let's add Gilbert to the stage here. Now we'll bring Jesse on.
Come right on.
Having a hard time with Jesse. There
he is. There he's coming on.
All right. So, anyways, Gilbert, so we're glad you're having a program here tonight. We're looking forward to the program. This is a debut program. We want to thank you, Gilbert, and we want to thank your brother Jesse for wanting to be part of this. Thank you, Gilbert.
Yeah.
So what will you be kind of focusing on here tonight on the 6 screens?
Well, we're going to be talking about A Tale of Two Witnesses, and we'll go ahead and let you know right off the bat, it's Fred and Ray France, but from a take that you probably never heard.
Well, we're looking forward to that. We would love to hear things we never heard. So, Jesse, I see you're on with us as well. You're Gilbert's brother. We thank you for wanting to come on and be a part of the 6 screens. Thank you, Jesse. So, do you agree with Gilbert that we're going to hear some things tonight we never heard?
I hope so. Get some fresh takes.
Yeah, well, that's what we're looking for. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of now, do you want me to put the link up for people to come on StreamYard? Do you have? Okay, I'll put that up. And in the same time, I'll leave the telephone lines open. But I'm here watching. If there's any rambunctious callers, I'll be glad to disconnect them.
Okay.
But I'll put a link up so people can connect with you. So let's go with this. So I'm going to bow out and I'll put these links up so people can connect. So let's stop this right now. Let me come out of here. I'm going to stop the cam. Okay. All right. So there you guys are. So take your program away.
Wow. Hey, thanks, Rick, for letting us come on the show.
Thank you.
Come right on in. Welcome to Late Night with the Two Witnesses. Don't worry, there are only 2 elders, not 3. So you are safe. Broadcasting west of the Rockies and east of the Paradise. With 144,000 watts of high-energy active force, GG for GB and his helper pioneer their way through the valley of the shadow of the Watchtower. Remember, do not subscribe, do not like. Be a trailblazer, not a sheep. Run for your life and don't look back, like Lot's wife.
Hey, I hope you guys like that. That was our little thing. Welcome to the show. And I also want to say, go ahead and like and subscribe to Rick's channel. But when we say don't like and subscribe, that's over there on the GG for GB side on our channel. We take a different approach, but please give Rick a thumbs up if you like the show and subscribe. It means a lot to him. And we're going to start this show and talk about the Tale of Two Witnesses. And like we always start our show.
Dean, how you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. We got a great show. We're going to be talking about A Tale of Two Witnesses, a tale of Raymond France and Frederick France, and hopefully give you guys a perspective that you guys never thought or talked about or heard other people talk about. So I want to thank everybody, all 38 of you that are on right now. And Jesse, did you want to start? What are we going to talk about with The Tale of Two Witnesses?
Very good point. Listen, Revelations 11, the 2 witnesses. And I really believe that all religions have their interpretation, Christian religions, of the 2 witnesses. So we're not going there. Revelations chapter 11. We're not trying to say that it's 2 people, Enoch, Moses, Elijah. That's not what we're saying. This is a play on maybe a doctrine of Watchtower. They're the ones who have the 2 witness rule. They're the ones who are always talking about Revelation, its grand climax on hand. So we're playing with it. And we're going to talk about 2 different witnesses throughout history and something that happened in our lifetime. We were witnesses to something of 2 witnesses. And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So let's, I guess we could talk about the first one here. And it's pulling up, and it's Cain and Abel. Here we have 2 witnesses from the very beginning. They're family, kind of like Frederick France and his brother, family. But in this family, you have a brother who kills his brother, a brother who's a busybody, getting involved in people's personal affairs. And so this is one of the things that we're noticing about the tale of 2 witnesses. This story, like King Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun. It keeps repeating over and over again. And this is one of the problems that we're going to talk about, about the family, how Watchtower destroys the family. And all of us can say that we're one of 2 witnesses. And I want to go back to this picture. Jesse, you mentioned something really interesting about how, depending on who's listening to this video, that person is going to say he's the baddie or he's the baddie. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, this is you mentioned Cain and Abel. Most normal people would say, well, Abel is the bad person, and Abel is the good witness, and Cain would be the bad person, murderer. He murdered his brother. But look at Raymond Franz and Frederick Franz. We have two distinct thoughts, two distinct persons, two distinct, and you and I are two witnesses too, because we're two elders, Jehovah's Witness elders. We've never been disfellowshipped. We've never been disassociated. Nothing. They just quit talking to us. We're still witnessing. We're giving our witness every day, like that Marvin Gaye song. Can I get a witness? We're witnessing. Something interesting about this. All our Jehovah's Witness brothers who are active publishers, they would say that Frederick Franz is the good witness, a good person, maybe a holy person. And they would say Raymond Franz is an apostate. He's one of us. And in there, they would call us Satan. They would say Ray Franz is satanic. We would have the opposite effect. We think Frederick Franz is the phony, the fake, the dementia-ridden person. We don't hate him like they hate us, but we know he's a fake and a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And we hold Raymond Franz in high esteem as a Christian man.
Mm-hmm.
Even atheist ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hold Raymond Franz in high esteem. The active witnesses don't.
Correct. So you can say that this is fresh. This is fresh history, but this is old history, and it's because time has passed that we're able to look back in history and say, oh, you know what? He's the baddie, and he's the good one. And now the years go by, and there's two other brothers, Jacob and Esau. One, he liked to kill a lot of animals. Nothing wrong with that. People got to eat. But one liked to take care of animals. And also, one cared about the spiritual side of life, and the other one said, no, just give me a bowl of soup. Give me the red stuff. So here we have in history repeating itself, where there comes a time where, do you care about the spiritual side of life or just the fleshly side of life? Can you make an argument between Jacob, Esau, and the Tale of Two Witnesses, Frey and Reddy?
Yeah, I think any of us can. Any of us can. Frederick Franz loved the organization, the meat of the organization. And there's recordings of Raymond Franz on YouTube. You could go look it up, Gilbert. For example, they interview him and they ask him when he became a member of the governing body. He was really excited. He was a real believer, just like us. When we become witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses, we're believers. And then something interesting that Raymond Franz talks about it, when he got into the working of the governing body, he noticed that the governing body rarely used the scripture. They were involved into human tradition. And that's what you were talking about. Maybe Jacob and Esau. Maybe Jacob had a spiritual side. Esau loved the physical side. I'm not saying that one's better than the other, but what I'm saying, there's a distinct difference. And Raymond Franz called it out. Raymond Franz called it out. These are men of God who rarely use God's word. They invalidated God's word because of their traditions. And that is the tale of two witnesses there. And this is the neat thing about being old. Our brothers and sisters that died before us in the congregation, in the kingdom halls, they didn't get to see it. They knocked on every door, witnessing of God's kingdom. They didn't get to see that everything that Frederick Franz preached about was a lie, a 100% total failure. And Raymond Franz, we got to see it. He got to document it in his book, Crisis of Conscience and In Search of Christian Freedom. He got to speak the truth, and he repented. And he said, hey, you know what? I knocked on everybody's door. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Let me make a correction. And as human beings, we all make mistakes. But a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, they never come clean. Frederick Franz died dirty. He never apologized for the 1975 debacle. He never apologized for him lying about the Greek. He never apologized about that. And that is the tale of two witnesses. We have two people here, just like in ancient times. We have two witnesses here who couldn't be more separate, more distinct. And they're family members. We're getting to see the two witnesses in our own lifetime.
Yeah, that's a great point. And King Solomon again says, "Hey, there's nothing new under the sun. History keeps repeating itself." And along come another one. You want to talk about Moses and Pharaoh?
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. Now, people believe the tradition about Moses. Well, a lot of people believe Moses wasn't real, huh? But other than that, the story that we get condensed down is that they were by adoption, maybe not by blood, but by adoption, family. They were family, like Raymond Franz, Frederick Franz. And one of them chooses to suffer in the wilderness with his people and reject everything. Raymond Franz chose, like Moses, to go out into the wilderness. He didn't have his house. You call it what, in 25 Columbia Heights in New York?
Yeah. One lived in 25 Columbia Heights while the other one lived in a mobile home in Alabama or somewhere, Kentucky.
But check this out. Look at the irony of this. You will own nothing and you'll like it. Raymond Franz, he lived in the life of luxury. He flew around all over the United States giving talks and everything. Nobody listened to it. And he had a gay voice. I mean, just a total metrosexual voice. Wasn't even masculine in any sense. And the interesting thing is he never had anything. That was the irony. He didn't own a penny to his name.
Am I invited in here? Am I invited in here? Gilbert?
No, not yet. Not yet, King. Not yet.
Yeah, just let me
Yeah,
finish
I want.
and I'll bail out.
No,
You
King,
told me
out.
you kicked me off. You told me you kicked me off, so I wanted to give you.
No, you got to go. You got to show manners. Get out of here. We'll bring you in a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So we're just going to show the parallels between Moses and Pharaoh and Brother Franz. The tale of two witnesses. The tale goes on.
Well, Ray and the other guy.
No. You don't know. You need to get out. We'll invite you in.
What's this gentleman's name?
It's King of Dots, but he's going to come in later.
Okay, I was finished. I'm finished.
Okay, so we have that with Moses and Pharaoh. Now, Jesse, I want to bring in the most important one, and this is the one that you and I have been talking a lot about, the tale of two witnesses. And let me see, and it has to do with the sacrifice. So you say, what do these two women have to do with Raymond Franz and Fred Franz?
Wow, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. This is a beautiful story. This one gets me every time. This is perfect. This is a story of love, true love, a true witness. Can I get a witness? Frederick Franz, he loved earth. He loved paradise earth. He loved to govern. He liked the seat of power. He liked to roll with Brother Russell, Brother Rutherford, Brother Knorr in the governing body. Don't you think that Raymond Franz liked those things too? But when he found the truth about the truth, he was willing to sacrifice everything, like the true mother in the story of Solomon. They both were fighting over this baby, and Solomon says, split the baby in half. There came true love. The mother was willing to sacrifice her relationship with the baby and say, no, let that other woman have her, but spare the baby. And that's what we're saying about the Franz brothers here, the Franz family. Frederick Franz was not willing to give up anything. And that is the irony. He already received his full reward. Raymond Franz, on the other hand, he didn't. He was willing to lose everything, be disassociated, disfellowship like us, apostates, to have a good relationship with his father in heaven.
Correct.
Beautiful story.
But Jesse, also talk about how the difference is that they want sacrifice. They can't get enough blood. And this is the thing with the organization. People that belong in these types of organizations, they're unsatiable. And you've heard the stories in the last videos of suicides. You hear, of people dying in the hospital and so forth. It's a never ending. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, me and you have talked about it a lot in the GG for GB channel. The difference between an organization and a church, and the true church. And this is a dream I've had all my life since I was a little baby. When I was a little kid and we were learning in the organization, I hated the word system of things. I hated the word society. I hated the first time I heard the word organization, I instinctively, even though I was a young man, I instinctively associated with the communist Marxist rhetoric and not Christian theology, not Christian love. In a church, the real church, there is a leader who gives his life. And so that ends the sacrifice. That ends the sacrifice. Jesus says that nobody has greater love than one who gives his life for his brother. That is the church. But in an organization, the leader of the church is always sacrificing hours and money and other people. Like Frederick Franz, did he put up a fight for Raymond Franz? No, he sacrificed them out to the wilderness, sent them out to Alabama. And that's what has happened to all of us apostates. The organization has sacrificed us all. For their life on earth, they've sacrificed their mother, their brother, their sister. They've quit on all of us. They've spit on us. And that's the thing about an organization. You can never sacrifice enough human beings to satisfy an organization. But with the church, the sacrifice was done by Jesus Christ once and for all.
Correct. So let me finish it up by talking about these actually three things. But there's an old Cherokee proverb, and in it says, perhaps my favorite Cherokee proverb is, when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. So when these two men were born, there was a rejoicing, and they were both crying when they came out of the womb. But they lived separate lives, like the Cherokee proverb says. And when they died is the point I want to talk about. When they died, the world did not cry for Frederick Franz. Nobody remembers who Frederick Franz is. You know, Watchtower does not even have the Frederick Franz wing or the Kingdom Hall named after Frederick Franz. There's no memory of Frederick Franz. If you go into a Kingdom Hall or an assembly that with a low attendance like Rick showed, how many people, if you were to go and ask, who's Frederick Franz? You know Brother Frederick Franz? I would venture to say that more than 50% of the people there have no idea who he is. So the old Cherokee proverb is true. He lived in such a way that when he died, nobody cried. But Raymond Franz, the difference is when Ray died, did he really die? Because YouTube is filled with his memory. But when Raymond Franz died, the Cherokee proverb says that you rejoice, or Raymond Franz, he rejoiced when he died. Raymond Franz, in his deathbed, without me knowing, but in his deathbed, he was happy to go home. He was ready to go home. And he wanted to hear the words, good and faithful servant. He felt like I did the best I could. And that's going back to the Cherokee proverb. And so look at right there. His book is called Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz. So the memory of Raymond Franz lives on. Why? Because Jesus said in Matthew 7, right? Or Luke 7, he says, and it's funny how Jesus killed two birds with one stone for Jehovah's Witnesses. And remain in that house, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his wages. Do not go from house to house. But it's interesting. He says, the laborer is worthy of his wage. And then in Matthew 6, he says, truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. The point I'm trying to make is, on earth, while we live on earth, there will always be a thing called money. And Jesus was very clear. We're going to have money here on earth. It's just we can't change it. But he used illustrations of money to help us understand the bigger things. Because if we can understand the little things about money on earth, we can understand the big things. So let's look at this. Jesus says that the worker is worthy of his wage. Right there in that picture, you see, Jesse, Frederick France, who allegedly had a part in writing the book Aid to Bible Understanding. But his name is nowhere to be found in that book. Raymond, on the other side, A Crisis of Conscience. I had that picture professionally colorized. That carries his name. Now, notice that Raymond France received money for that book because the worker is worthy of his wage. And he was able to pay his bills, take care of his wife, family, and he didn't become a millionaire, but he was happy. Whereas the other one, Frederick France, says, well, I didn't put my name down and I didn't make a penny. Yes, but you lived in 25 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn. Property that Donald J. Trump coveted. He wished he could buy that property. Frederick France flew all around the world, and all of the assemblies and all of the branch offices paid for this man's world travels. So, but he goes around and tells everybody, I'm poor, I have nothing. I do this for Jehovah. You see, but he lived the life of a billionaire. But the worker on the other side was worthy of his wage. Raymond France didn't receive a wage. Frederick France didn't receive a wage, but Raymond did. So what the point of the moral of the story is, God does want us to receive a paycheck because he wants to honor us with our work. He wants to honor the labor of our hand. But in that verse again, Jesus says in verse 2 that truly I tell you, they received their reward in full. Now you see the rest of the story, like Paul Harvey says. The rest of the story is that the man who did not leech off the people, who published his book, made money the regular way, he is remembered to this day. He is loved to this day, just like the Cherokee proverb says. But the one who pretended to be poor, who pretended to live a life of sacrifice, that he was dedicated to God, but went around the world, right, on the publisher's dimes. Nobody remembers who he is. There's not an apostate today who does not know Raymond France, but there's not only 50% and dying of Jehovah's Witnesses know who Frederick France was. Does that make any sense? So the Jehovah's Witnesses, every day, less and less people know who Frederick France is. But every single apostate knows who Raymond is.
Yeah.
That's the Cherokee proverb, Jesse, in a nutshell. When you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries for you and you rejoice.
Hey, Gilbert, is it Cherokee?
It's a Cherokee proverb.
Yeah. Okay, it's because you were saying Cherokee.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. It's just I don't want Paul Revere and the Raiders getting mad at us.
Now, I want to talk about other stuff, but I guess Geary is dying to get on the road on the radio.
Let's hear what he says.
If he's on, go ahead and come on, Geary. And we invited Dan Clark and we invited Jimmy Bell.
Gilbert, Jimmy Bell on the Rick Fearon chat line. He gives a beautiful question. I'll try to read it later if we get a chance, but it's a real good question. Very deep question. Sincere question. Are we, in your opinion, currently in the time when Satan was let loose for a little while after the 1,000-year reign? I've heard that some believe this.
I'll answer it first. I'll let you answer it, but I'll answer it first. The Bible is very clear. Let the reader pay. What does it say? Let the reader pay attention. So it's not for me to decide, but for you to decide. But if you're asking my personal opinion like a friend, yes.
Yeah.
You have to make that decision, not me.
Yeah. You know what? I ponder these questions, like that question and the question of, are we in the Great Tribulation? Because we're just like a button away from total annihilation. So these questions are valid. These questions are valid. But I just wanted to make that point clear. We're not talking about the Revelation 2 witnesses. This is a play on words. We're giving a tale of two witnesses. We're not talking about the literal interpretation of Revelations chapter 11. No. We're talking about the tale of two Jehovah's Witnesses, how they live their life distinctively. And some people hold them up to be a hero, depending on whether you're an active Jehovah's Witness publisher or an apostate. We hate each other. Look, listen, let me tell you a story that happened this week. My son-in-law passed away, and we had to bury him. And it was a real hot day, and he's ex-military. And the military gave the gun, 3 guns, two. And they gave the flag. And so there was some Marines there present, 2 Marines, active duty. And they gave my daughter the American flag. And then the preacher from the church gave the talk. My mother-in-law is an active Jehovah's Witness. She was sitting there. And after that, it was impromptu. The minister asked, the funeral director goes, "Is there anybody who wants to give any last words?" And nobody wanted to stand up and give a talk. So I stood up and gave a few words. And my Jehovah's Witness mother-in-law walked out when I started to talk. And everybody at the funeral noticed it. The Jehovah's Witnesses hate us that much. You and I are not, we're not even disfellowshipped. But they hate us so much. They love the military more than us. They see the Christendom, the preacher, more than us. They hate us that much. Imagine what they think of Raymond Franz. The things we feel about Frederick Franz is the same thing they think about us. And that is the tale of two witnesses. We can never be together. We can never be brothers and sisters no more. We're completely different worlds. The hate is eternal. Now, I don't live in hate, but I know they hate us. Because when I started to speak up, my mother-in-law, my Jehovah's Witness mother-in-law, walked out of her other son-in-law's funeral. They hate us that much. And that is the tale of two witnesses.
Jesse, I'm going to let you keep talking about that, but if you're listening to this, this is a come to Jesus moment. Jesse and I were talking about this. We talk about this all the time. It's all we talk about. They are no part of your world. We're playing on Jehovah's Witnesses' words. So, Jesse, what is they are no part of your world? You're just talking about it.
Yeah, they are no part of our world. For example, you have family members. Rick Fearon has family members. Jimmy, everybody, Geary. We all have family members. But we have to live our life now because we are no part of the world. You know, when you fall in love with a beautiful woman, you go, "Oh, I fell in love." With Jehovah, you kind of fall in hate. It's a different world than the world of love. God is love, but the world of Jehovah is a world of hate. It's a world distanced from God. We're no part of that world. And so we have to be content that we lost our mom. We lost our sister. We're not part of their world. They hate us eternally. Do you remember that Whitney Houston song, that Dolly Parton song? I will always love you, and I will always love you. They will always hate us. And so we have to, that is the tale of two witnesses. We live in a world of hate with our brothers and sisters.
Hey, Jesse, so I don't have the pictures up. I could put them back up, but we don't have to. Well, we saw the pictures, right? Cain and Abel,
Yes.
Esau, Jacob, all these pictures. And they had that same realization that you and I have, that they are no part of our world. It's so sad because we, when you think of Moses and Pharaoh, the great times that they had. Or think of like in the movie Ben-Hur, when they grew up together, right, in Galilee. But at the end of the movie, he's clinging on to hate. He goes, and the race continues, the fight continues. It's sad. But what we're trying to tell you, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, is that you have to have that come to Jesus moment, that they are no part of your world. They have killed you. And you, Jehovah's Witnesses, have to have that come to Jesus moment, that you have killed your brother like Cain killed Abel. Because we still talk to you, but you won't talk to us. Don't try to say, "Oh, you left your Jehovah." No, you have been given orders to kill us.
Yeah. And you know what? The apostate, let me try to quote something here.
Yes.
But we have the burden of the apostate. there's the burden of freedom, the burden a Christian carries. Christ talks about the burden, carry your cross. But the apostate carries a burden because sooner or later in life, there's going to be a death in your family, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to come knocking. They think that they didn't shun us for 20 years. They think that they didn't treat us like shit for 20 years. So the burden is upon, excuse me, they treated us like excrement for 20 years. So the burden is on the apostate. The burden of the apostate is, are we going to let our family back into our world or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of the apostates are so full of love, they would. It won't be the same if your mom and dad come knocking or your brother and sister, but I think the burden of the apostates is that we will allow them into our lives. For example, in a cemetery where they won't. For example, look at our brother Joe. In 3 or 4 days, it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of his death. When he was in hospice care, he didn't even call me and you, his little brothers. He was in we didn't even know. We just got the call in the morning, hey, your brother's dead. That's how much Jehovah hates us. That's how great the hate of Jehovah is. So the burden of love is on us, the apostates. We have to receive the shunning, but we have to be willing to forgive and let them back in. That is the burden of the apostate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's the tale of two witnesses. The tale of two witnesses. If you want to come on the stream link, there it is. There it is. Because we're going to talk about some other stuff. But before we talk about the other things, I think, it would be proper, because we've already talked for 36 minutes, 30. So if you guys do want to say something.
I thought Kiri was trying to get on.
Yeah. And remember, Jesse, because we know, Jesse, that everybody loves listening to me. And this is the opportunity now where people can now ask me a question, right? And to find out what I think of them and their question. Because this is how the governing body works, right?
Right.
We love being a little bit narcissistic, like true governing body members. But if you want to come on, the StreamYard link is there. I think we also started on the point. There's that great clip on YouTube, but you just type in, "Are we the baddies?" So who's the baddies here?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. We are in two different worlds. Look at Artsy Kim G USA. Look at that comment. She gives a beautiful. I wish she could come on to StreamYard, but can you read her comment?
What does she say?
She encapsulates everything that we're talking about. Listen to that. Read that.
My Jehovah's Witness mom keeps making fun of me for trying to follow the Bible, learn, etc. And she instead is super close with family members who doesn't believe God even exists. Wow.
Gilbert, that is in every apostate goes through that. That's the burden of the apostate. The Jehovah's Witnesses will make love to the world, to Dr. Fauci, to everybody, but they won't talk to their brother and sister who's left Jehovah.
Yeah. We also extend the invitation to Jimmy Bell and Joel, the unwitness, has been watching. So Joel or Jimmy, want to get on? Because we're going to talk about something else. But before I talk about those subjects, and like I said, if you do come on, we got something special for you that has never been done in Jehovah's Witness history. So what do you think? Are we onto something with the tale of two witnesses? And
Gilbert and Jesse?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do believe you are onto something. This is Dick Porgy. Ray France gave us Crisis of Conscience, and Freddie France gave us the bedroom laws. The bedroom laws caused many divorces, and the Crisis of Conscience woke a lot of people up, and a lot of people living better lives because of that book that Ray France wrote. You guys are terrific. I caught you on YouTube the other day with the rebranding of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Great videos. Good work, guys.
Well, Dick, this is very important because right there in the picture, Crisis of Conscience has his name. So now we have a name to the book. So going back to the bedroom laws with Ray France is now writing books as an unmarried man with no children, and he's going to write a book titled How to Find True Family Happiness. Remember those books, Family Happiness? So you're right. So the reason I showed those pictures of the Bible storybook is because as the years go by, it becomes very clear, who the baddie was. And also, God wants you to have credit for, God wants you to have credit for your labor. Notice how Frederick Franz has no name on his book, and he's not remembered. But Raymond France put his name on the book, and he's remembered fondly. Also, I think I hit the wrong button. There we go. So I think that's the point that we're trying to bring out, that this thing about anonymity with the Watchtower, you're not only going to be anonymous today, history will go by, Dick, and nobody will know who you are. I know when you hear me.
Am I allowed to talk now or not?
Please, everybody, we have King of Dots.
King of Dots. And guess what?
Beautiful.
I know currently probably 5 Ray Fran's relatives currently.
Wow.
Would you like to know what happened to them?
Yes.
They're pretty much considered inbreds, okay? They're just if they weren't in Watchtower, they would be non-spectacular individuals. They'd be considered hill jacks in my area. A friend of mine, he's married to Ray France's great niece, and she is so stuck in the mud, she can't think past her nose. And my friend is, he's very, he's not disassociated, but he's, what do you call it, fader? Yeah, for like 10, 12 years now.
Fader.
And this is how I became a fader. You want me to tell you the story?
Yes.
He picked up some pornography from his dead brother's house, his ministerial servant brother's house. And he called me up and he said, my wife turned me into the elders. They're coming over Saturday. And I said, well, let me tell you, Steve, the elders are going to immediately accuse you of having an affair. And they did. And he stopped going to Kingdom Hall at that moment. He said, what the hell? Because I picked up some pornography from my dead brother's house. That is exactly what happened. He has never come back. They've done shepherding calls on him, and because they accused him, they made the big leap, because you got some pornography and your wife caught you, and now you're having affairs on her. You're an adulterer. Now, this is how Watchtower operates. Remember what they say, if you lie, you steal. If you steal, you kill. And he who's guilty of the least is guilty of the most. They take these things to extremes. Now, Gilbert, I know you. You're a great fellow. Your brother is probably much greater than you, from what I detect. Much wiser, incredible person. But I would never jump to conclusions about either one of you based on specious stuff like that. But again, when you're in Watchtower, you're subject to nothing but wicked suspicions. And they're looking to nail people all the time. That's what makes the congregation thrive. That's why we went to the meetings most of the time. Who's going to get DF tonight? Who's going to be kicked out tonight? It's nothing but that's the fuel. Like you said, hate, fuel. That's the fuel.
Hey, Gary.
That's my comment, and you can kick me off now if you want to.
No, Gary.
No.
I gotta get this in. Gary, I agree with you. Jesse's a lot smarter, but I have to make it very clear, and you understand that I am GG. I am the elected GG for GB member, and he is my helper, even though he's smarter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you understand that, right?
No, does he know that you were elected? I mean,
yeah.
Did you tell him?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's my helper. We work on the campaign together. But
Gary,
uh-huh.
you know, me and Gilbert love Cincinnati. You know that, don't you?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't live in Cincinnati. Where do you guys think I live? Did I
West
give you
Virginia?
We thought you were in Ohio. We thought you were from Ohio.
You think You think I'm in the United States?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Come to think of it, yeah.
Hey, Jesse. King of
Yeah.
Dots wants
United States. You're right.
the
Did I
reason
get picked up?
the reason King of Dots came on the show is because he wanted me to hear the words "Get out of here."
No, well, you know what? I wanted to hear Dom DeLuise for once, dude.
I know.
I'm here for Dom DeLuise.
Hi guys.
Okay.
Hi guys. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, guys. Hello, guys.
Hi,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Hi, guys. And Dom
Bye,
DeLuise,
guys.
I was wrong. I was very wrong about him. He had a
Hi, dear. How you doing?
26-year-old man.
Hi, guys. Sit down.
Go ahead.
He had an incident with a 26-year-old man, not a teenage man.
Yeah.
I am so sorry about that.
I know.
It's that latent homosexuality kicking in, as they say,
Yeah.
But anyway, he was Burt Reynolds' most favorite comedian, and that's all that matters in life,
Yeah.
man. What Burt Reynolds thinks. Of course, he's dead now, but it still matters to me, Well,
Hey, Dan.
I don't have anything else to offer, but
Good.
words of stupidity. So I better leave now. Okay.
Okay. Get out of here.
Pick me up. Yeah. Thank
Get
you.
out of here. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And if Dan Clark, if you guys are watching, Dan, get on the show, and Jimmy Bell. We really like to hear your guys' opinions on this matter. And we really want to know what you think about my my thoughts. Yeah, because
You know what, Gilbert? As we get closer to the campaign, people have to understand this, especially in the Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness community. Some in the community don't understand that you're our elected governing body.
Mhm.
And so it really doesn't matter what the audience thinks or what Dan thinks or Jimmy Bell. It only matters what you think and what you think about their comments. So that's the good thing, that you're benevolent governing body, where you let other people talk. Like the current governing body, you can't call them up, and you can't call Bethel and say, hey, I'd like to talk to Tony Morris or Stephen Lett. But here with the apostates, we get to talk to the governing body in real time. So that's the neat thing. It shows you the difference between our governing body and their governing body. And besides, you're a lot more handsome. You got that whole Mexican thing going on.
Correct. Now, hey, let's go on. I just want to go on to the second part of the show for the Jehovah's Witnesses, because Jesus Christ said that when it rains, we all see this. It rains on the wicked, and also on the on what did he say? The wicked and the look at that text.
The righteous and the unrighteous.
The righteous and the unrighteous. So how I interpret that is, it doesn't matter who you're talking to all day long. Even a clock is right 2 times a day. Words of wisdom can rain upon any human being, a homeless man, a drug addict, a crack whore, or a politician. It's more likely that crack addicts will have more wisdom than politicians, but that's just another thing. But the point is that wisdom is found everywhere. And here's the point I'm trying to make. Let's go on to. I want to. People say, why do you guys do what you do? Well, in this episode, this man was throwing a bunch of truth bombs, and it was a very rainy day, like Jesus says. A lot of rain fell on this man.
To me, Cat, that you had a lot to get off your chest.
No.
You wanted to set the record straight.
Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. I don't say any of these things if my name is not breached by these people on your platform. If you give a liar a platform to lie, then I'm not being messy by saying, hold on, that never happened, it's untrue, and there are hundreds of witnesses for each thing I'm saying.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Why are we doing? Because Jehovah's Witnesses sent us out there, and they used our name to spread their lies. How can we not talk about this?
And it's a tale of two witnesses. It's it's a love story. Someone once said that life is like a song, and we live in a love song. We love our neighbors. We love God. We're sinners. We confess it. But Watchtower never confesses that they lied about 1975. The CSA, the Australian Royal Commission, the blood fractions, the beards, everything Jehovah touches is a lie. At least you and I had said, hey, we knocked on your door. We were wrong. The end is not going to come in 1975. The end's not going to come in our lifetime. The end didn't come overlapping generation. We lied in Jehovah's name. We lied in the name of the divine. Forgive us. We repent.
Okay.
We understood that we were used as liars. We were liars. We were liars. We lied in our community. All of us did. All of us apostates. Our current brothers, they haven't confessed yet. They haven't come
Correct.
clean.
And in that video, he says, you used my name on your platform. They used our name to lie on their platform. Of course, we have to say, no, 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 no. Of course. Now, check this out.
And I hate to seem like a didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. But Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. It didn't happen.
I understand. I understand it about the blessing, but let's focus on it didn't happen. 1914 and 1975 didn't happen. And he says Jussie Smollett and the governing body are going to keep on lying until you do something. And the universe is very clear that there has to be repercussions for these lies. And then what did he say at the very end? Let me see. Hold on.
These are some power people.
What do you mean again?
Yeah, these are powerful people. No, they're not. Watchtower is not a powerful institution. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to keep your mom and brothers and sisters from talking about you. No, God is talking to you. Jesus is talking to you. You're a free man. So they're not powerful. Don't ever think that they're powerful. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, because wasn't that the first thing when you became a Jehovah's apostate? Remember that Bible scripture you were always throwing out? That if anybody lies in the name of Jehovah, don't fear that person. If that word doesn't come true, he's a false prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses have accomplished that scripture over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you pick up the jw.org website, there's something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
I think somebody's knocking.
Okay.
I hear them knocking.
I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Who is this? Is this Pixie?
It's Pixie.
God, you know what, Pixie? I was hoping you would come on. Hey, Pixie, before you talk, what do you think of this video clip?
Eyes will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, one point.
I watched the whole interview with him, and it was profound.
Yeah.
I was calling to remind any new listeners, and this is a fabulous show you guys are doing, to remind new listeners that the Crisis of Conscience and In Search of Christian Freedom, they're free audiobooks on YouTube. So the person, even if they don't have money to buy the books, can hear the material.
Yeah. So Pixie, what do you think of that clip? You want me to play it again?
So many points.
Lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, yeah. So much is being exposed right now. The interesting thing that I think we talked about in a different show, but again, we've got a new group here and a new show. The two brothers in The Prodigal Son, the witnesses did not have a forgiveness at the end of their beautifully produced fable of that story. They did not have the young man being robed and ringed and forgiven by his father at the end of the show. Instead, they had a wimpy soy boy crying because he had spent some time with a woman.
Wow. I didn't. Yeah. Wow. You're getting feedback. Nice to know France Books is online. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you,
Well, I'll let you guys get back to your next topic, but I just wanted to point out that they spent all that money to do The Prodigal Son, the Witness movie, and they did not have the story that you and Jesse know so well and that so many of our listeners know so well if they're Bible readers.
yeah. Wow, that's a good point. Jesse, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, I want to get our political JWAC, Jehovah's Witness Action Committee. And everybody knows that it's a political season, and Gilbert is campaigning for governing body. He's almost wrapped up the apostate nomination for governing body. But Gilbert, I wanted to throw maybe. Do you remember when Paul McCartney taught Michael Jackson? He mentored him about music business, and then the little brat went and bought all the Beatles music.
Yeah.
Hey, I you know what? I get that feeling. I know we love her with all our hearts. But do you think Ruby Quinn is learning off of your GB talks and videos, and she might do a run for GB?
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, no. I'm the original. I often been imitated, but never duplicated.
But she could be Ruby Quinn for VP GB. No.
Okay. I'm so good at
the Dreamboat ticket.
I'm so good at what I do is that I even encompass the VP. But listen, I want to get back to this because I think you guys missed the point. It's right here. Right here, I'm gonna hit play.
Takes that the wrong way, know why. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
So all of you Jehovah's Witnesses and the governing body and Bethelites, the reason you hate us, you take it a wrong way. We know why you hate us. You hate us because we're telling the truth. You see, when you Watchtower and you Jehovah's Witnesses say bad things about me, I don't have to worry about it because I know the truth. And I'm comfortable walking with God. I'm comfortable walking with Jesus. I'm comfortable, like I say in my voting ballot, walk with your dad, your father. He's your father, like a boy walks with his dad. But what Cat Williams is saying right here is very important. That we know why you're upset.
And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
We know why you hate Rick Farron. Because he's saying the truth. You can hate on him. He doesn't care. Because he's walking with God. And everybody else is walking with God. We're not offended, but you are. And we know why you're offended. Does that make any sense, Jesse?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Hey, Gilbert, this is happening all over the world. And I think Pixie said it or James Spitfire, but they've been saying this is happening all over the planet.
Yes.
People are in denial. There's some people walking around think that men can have babies. There are people out there that saying that women can father babies. The genders, they're actually doing that. And then they're working on your planes, they're working on your trains, they're working on your automobiles. They're messing up the whole planet. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine one of those people with an engineering degree on your bridge? This is some scary stuff. Mm-hmm. People are in denial about basic gender. Imagine about the things that we're talking about.
Well, now, yeah, and that brings me to the last point about being in denial. You Jehovah's Witnesses and all of us, this is so true. This is kind of like, I'm not going to say it's gospel, but when Jesus says it was raining on the righteous and the unrighteous, it was pouring in this neighborhood.
Do you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Did you just hear that? Instead of Hollywood, put in the word Watchtower.
That's why. Do you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Hold on. You mean to tell me that nobody committed suicide? You mean to tell me that those kids didn't die in the hospital? You mean to tell me that somebody didn't get raped and could have been avoided because he could have been announced as a sexual predator in your congregation? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. We're all walking around and he's talking about rape there. Men that have been raped to get movie roles. It's the same thing. People are walking around like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Jesse. I don't know. Nobody's committed suicide here. Nobody sold the Kingdom Hall. That was never our Kingdom Hall. Oh, we never had loan payments. Everyone is walking around in the Jehovah's Witness world pretending 1914 didn't happen twice. First, it was the end. Now it was the beginning of the end.
Hey,
people are walking around the Kingdom Hall pretending 1975 didn't happen.
You know what? Let me give you some insight how it works, the organization in the elder room. There was this elder who was going to go to another town. Mm-hmm. And his, no, they were going to send him to Bethel. Remember when, what's his name was going to go serve in Bethel? Medina.
Mm-hmm.
We had an elder meeting, and half of the elder body didn't want to send him, half of them did, because he was already removed from a neighboring town as an elder years ago. I think it was like 7 years ago. And now the argument in the elder room was, can he serve? Does he have any? Has he ever had a judicial committee? So the question was there, and I raised my hand in the elder room. There was about 8 elders. And don't you remember? About 7 years ago, he was removed from the neighboring town as an elder. And the elders jumped on me. I had never read this nowhere. There's no written. It's a theocratic oral tradition. And Danny got me, goes, Jesse, you can't bring that up. That's been over 5 years ago. You can't bring that up. That's been over 5. So it sat in the secretary file for 5 years ago. We're supposed to forget that it happened. Because they live in an oral tradition. It really didn't happen in Jehovah's world. It really didn't happen. That kid that you're talking about committed suicide, it really didn't happen. Yeah. And remember, I always told you about abortion, how it is the sacrament of the left in the United States in politics? The same thing with shunning. It's the sacrament of the Jehovah's Witness. I always say, if you'll abort your child, imagine what else you'll do. Your conscience is seared. The same thing with shunning. If you'll shun your family members, your conscience is seared. That's a form of violence. That's a form of hate. That is the absence of love. Yeah.
Correct.
So that's why it didn't happen.
Yeah. So what you just said, it's so powerful. Just you got to listen to it one more time. It's so powerful. So ready?
That's why, you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Nobody got this fellowship. Nobody lost their mom. Nobody lost their daughter.
Yeah. And you know what? We talked about it in the 1914. Let's just talk about 1914. That's
it.
Hold
on. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
We got Jimmy coming on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just bring it up. 1914 didn't happen. This is huge. Just with that, it's a checkmate moment. I mean, our whole life, if you're 50 years old, 40 to 50 years old, our whole entire childhood was spent on 1914. Mm-hmm. Every boring day of our lives, as a Jehovah's Witness. And it didn't happen.
Hey, so Jesse, here it is.
Okay.
The only Jehovah's Witness who will take on the toughest questions of today. A man who is not afraid to tackle the issues of tomorrow that Watchtower chooses to ignore. An all-around good guy. Sorry, ladies, he is taken. Jimmy Bell.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Sorry, ladies.
Oh my God, that was funny as all get out. I love that. Thanks for having me on. I didn't really have anything prepared.
Are we crazy? Are we off topic?
That was hilarious. I loved it.
Give us the report, the daily report. What's that called? On Facebook, you give the
geopolitical report.
Yeah. That.
What do you want to know?
Well, they're walking
Are you gonna run
around.
for GB?
Well, they're walking around like nothing happened. Jimmy, people are
Yeah.
walking around like nothing's happening.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. If you've had any sense of critical thinking, you should have already been using it about 4 years ago. I mean, there's so much going on right now, and people are literally just walking around in a haze, and they're just accepting information from fake news and other sources, kind of like with the Jehovah's Witnesses. They just walk around in a haze, accepting information from the governing body and just going with it and not checking it out, not debunking it or verifying it. Either way, it honestly, it drives me crazy, because I've done everything I can to try to get people to start employing some critical thinking skills, asking questions, and leaving emotion out of it. You know, there's a saying, F your feelings. And that's kind of what this is referring to. Think logically, leave your feelings and emotions out of it. And there's so many people, Jehovah's Witnesses included, that are not doing that.
Yep. Now, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm not accusing you of trying to do a political coup on Gilbert.
No, I don't want to. No, I'm not.
If you were going to run for GB, if you're considering running GB, would you be running on the Orthodox, fundamental, or liberal Christianity wing? Would you hit Gilbert from the left or from the right or from the moderate?
Oh, I'm gonna hit you dead center.
Okay, pretty good, Gilbert. Because we know Ruby wants to hit him from the liberal side. She's a liberal. She wants to hit him from the liberal side. So he's got his work cut out for him in the campaign.
Y'all are killing me with this whole thing.
Yeah.
So
well, the whole thing is, and goes back to like what you do in your roundtable. If you're not having fun being an apostate, you got to get out.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that, and I think I've been so busy with everything going on in my world right now that I haven't really been able to do any of my own videos or anything. But I've been wanting to do. It's been 5 years since I did my first video. This month, 5 years ago, I did my first video, and I usually put one out on my anniversary of doing videos, because I've seen so much growth in my life. And I can honestly say I'm not the same person I was in 2019 when I first come on the scene as an apostate. I've grown so much in the way I view life, in the way I view what's going on in the world, the way I just view my everyday activities. It's so much different and so much better when you're able to grow and not be stagnant. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of people, is they've gotten stagnant and haven't figured out a way to get out of that. And so I think a lot of XJWs that have been growing, they have fun with their life and they move on from the apostate community. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Hey, I wanted to answer your question, because a little while ago, Jimmy said that you were kind of confused, like you don't know why Jehovah's Witnesses, can't wake up. And Rick Farron talks about the cost sum fallacy, where people have so much invested with Watchtower, but Moses had a lot of it invested, and he preferred. And so it's that attitude that some of us, it goes back to character. A man of character is willing to lose it all. So unfortunately, Jimmy, I think a lot of people they don't have that character. They're afraid to lose one.
Well, we live in a fear-based society, and we've been living in a fear-based society for such a long time that that's all people think about. I mean, when I put stuff out on Facebook or I respond to comments in some of the other groups I'm in, I do it because I'm trying to let folks know that we can't be fearful. We got to look at that there's positives happening, and don't be so scared with everything that comes at you, because that puts you in a lower vibration.
That's right.
And when you're in that lower vibration, you're easier to be able to be manipulated by the people pushing the fear. And so I just wish people would be able to recognize that and understand that they're playing into the hands of this lower vibration by being fearful all the time. Now, there's a difference between being prepared and being fearful. Okay. It's like these doomsday preppers. And me and my wife are preppers, but we don't have a bunker. We have enough that if there's a natural disaster or something, hell, we've had ice storms and I've been out of power for a week before. We got stuff for that. Mm-hmm. But you got these people that are just preparing so much that I think that they're living in a fearful vibration.
Yeah. You know what? And it's interesting, just he says that with an Army t-shirt that Jimmy has, because we always quote, if everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. George.
Exactly.
And you're absolutely right, because it goes back to the fear. A lot of people are afraid to think outside the box.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the first reaction when they come against somebody that does think outside the box, they get defensive and they start lashing out at you. Mm-hmm. Happens to me all the time. Happened today.
Yeah.
With an XJW.
Well, Jesse says that those people, you don't want to be in a war with the Jehovah's Witnesses in a foxhole, because they're the first ones that are going to kill you.
Exactly.
They're going to take an order to kill you. But a person who thinks like Pat is saying is going to say, I'm not going to follow that order. See, he's thinking for himself. He's thinking outside.
Right.
So you have to leave Watchtower because they're going to kill you in your own foxhole.
Yes. Yes. I really like the point you guys made about them not being part of our world and the burden of an apostate. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I was thinking about that, and everybody knows my mom and dad shunned me. Okay. They have been for 4 years now. They're in their 70s. So I'm just chalked it up that one day I'm gonna get a phone call saying that one of my parents died. Mm-hmm. That would suck. Okay. But if by some miracle my mom and dad decided to start talking to me, I would accept them back into my life. But I have a different viewpoint on my own life, that I will not allow their way of living to infect me. Mm-hmm. I'm strong enough that I can do that now. Mm-hmm. And so that was a good point you guys made there. I like that.
Yeah.
It hurts, huh? That burden of the apostate hurts us all.
It does. It does. Mm-hmm. And, there's people out there that have lost way more than I have. Mm-hmm. And I feel for them.
Yeah. And it goes back to the King Solomon thing, where there's nothing new under the sun. You don't think Jacob felt like you? You don't think Moses felt like you? You don't think those two women, that ended their friendship forever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, if I could give you something positive, because you're an American and you're an American prepper. Well, me and Gilbert are Mexican preppers. So we do the same thing you do, but we have a devalued monetary system. So it's harder on us. So
I'm sorry.
Even though the dollar is sinking, at least it's not as bad as ours.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I do want to bring up something. It might be completely off topic, but it's a question that I put down in the comments. Okay, first off, are y'all familiar with Tartaria?
A little bit.
Okay.
The theory of the lost continent or the lost land?
Correct. Okay. All right. So the reason and this is just because me looking for knowledge from you guys too. I want to see what y'all think about it. Going back to my question that I put in the comments about living in the time of Satan being let loose, that we are living in that time. Now, this is something that I just came across about a month ago, and I listened to another guy speak about it, and I was like, huh, he's actually making some type of sense here. So, as a friend and just as having a conversation, you said you believed in that, right, Gilbert?
Oh, if you were to ask me on a personal level,
it's personal level.
Just like friends drinking beer.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Everything points to it. You know why? And also, like with the monetary system, we're dealing with quadrillions. I mean, this is the Super Bowl of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
we're living in something huge.
Oh, I know that. I believe that. But what brought you to that thinking?
Well, it's like the planets are aligning, one after another.
I really think I know Gilbert more than he knows himself, and I really think it's the money. Gilbert, since we were babies, he's been fascinated with the dollar, and I think what he's mentioned about the deficit, for example, it's a number that your brain, humanity can.
Oh, you can't wrap your head around it.
No, that has. When you owe somebody something, the way we owe, you're talking about giving up Alaska here. You're talking about this is what men go to war over $1. Imagine quadrillions of dollars.
And I'm going to say his name. His name is Gus Estacio. God love him. But he's a big preacher. I love him. He ripped in on me, but I'm standing by it. Remember how the Bible talks about peace and security, then instant destruction? To me, it's a no-brainer. It's common sense. How do you have peace and security? Well, when quadrillions upon quadrillions of dollars have now gone extinct, you come out with CBDCs. I mean, talk about a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. See, I have a whole different view on. I'm not an economist. I don't know if I should really be buying gold and silver. I don't know much about that stuff, so I'm just a regular guy, just sharing my feelings about it and some of the research that I've done. But I think we touched on it a little bit last week on Eric's show, where we talked about the dollar is going away. The fiat dollar, as we know, is going away. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And let me explain it to you real simple. If you have 4 quarters right now, you cannot buy one chocolate bar. In Gila Bend, in the middle of the desert, $5.10 is what they wanted for a king size. But if you have 4 quarters from the 1963 and before, JFK quarters, 90% silver, you could buy a whole case of chocolate bars. They're the same quarters, it's just one of them is made with God's money, silver. And then how did it happen that they put a bullet in John F. Kennedy's head? Because of the silver. When they got rid of John F. Kennedy, they also got rid of the money in the monetary system.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. And I also agree that that's one of the reasons why Gaddafi was targeted. I believe that's why Saddam Hussein was targeted as well, because the business that they wanted to do with their economy didn't involve the Federal Reserve fiat dollar. And the powers to be couldn't let that happen. So they had to take them out.
Correct. And see, so the big picture too is that the US dollar, and you say, what does that have to do with Jehovah's Witnesses? It's all about the truth or the lie. And that's what the tale of two witnesses. You have one person who was pursuing the truth, Raymond, and the other one that was stagnant on the lie. And sometimes you can't see the forest from the trees because you're living in the middle of history. What we're saying is, no, the truth will always win. So it doesn't matter if we're talking religion, money, politics. It's always going to be, what side are you on?
And this is why.
No, I just want to say one thing, Jimmy. I want to thank you that you told us that you're not an economist. That way, in our GG for GB campaign, and when we gain control of the governing body, we know where to put you in our cabinet.
Yeah.
So I want to thank
Thanks.
you.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I know that in the exchange, going back to Watchtower and how I feel like this relates to Watchtower is Watchtower. What do they rely on to stay in business, to do what they're doing? They rely on money.
Yeah,
money. Yes.
And because of what with the research that I've done, I believe that river is drying up for them. And that's why they're stressing so bad about selling kingdom halls and doing this or cutting back or changing policies because they can't afford to be going to court anymore. Changing things so people will stay in and keep donating because of executive order. What was it? 1-3. Oh, crap. Hold on. Oh, shit. It's one that I just completely drew a blank. But one of the executive orders that was signed by President Trump was that anybody, any organization, government, official, anybody, businesses, religion, are found to be conducting themselves with human child trafficking and child sacrificing, then all of their assets will be seized. And I do believe that that's happening right now to Watchtower.
Well, I'll take issue with that because this is the reason why. From a different perspective, there's a difference between money and cash flow. So Watchtower is asset rich in other countries, is asset rich in Switzerland, is asset rich other places.
Right.
The problem I think that we're seeing today is Watchtower has a cash flow problem. For their, like you mentioned, so is Watchtower poor? Far from it. But they've parked their money because of what you said. That money is long gone, hidden from, and so you have two corporations. You have the Watchtower in Switzerland Bank, let's say, and the Watchtower that's trying to pay the bills.
Yeah, I get your point. I agree with it. I mean, I really do. But just from what I'm seeing, from going back 5 years ago when I first started to talk about Watchtower and everything, I've seen them go downhill so fast in these 5 years that it's amazing. That's why I don't spend a lot of time trying to debunk Watchtower or this or that, because I totally believe they're going to collapse. They're collapsing now.
You know why I agree on that? Because Rush Limbaugh said, when somebody's making a fool of themselves, give them the microphone and take a step back.
Like,
Watchtower don't need you. They got Stephen Lett.
Even Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of War, said, why interfere with your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves? What's Watchtower doing?
Putting Stephen Lett on JW Broadcasting? That's what they're doing.
They are destroying themselves.
Right.
So that's why I'm just kind of sitting back and just eating my popcorn and saying, oh, Watchtower's doing that now? I know why you're doing that. And I'm just watching it. And it's a wonderful show.
I don't have I don't do no research, but something I wish I could do research on, if I could do research. If you look at the news right now on immigration and the billions and billions and billions of dollars that have been made by the religious organizations, NGOs, I wish somebody could do Freedom of Information Act research and see if Watchtower has any charities receiving money in the immigration, because we're talking a lot of religions have been involved in this.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hey, Jesse. So now that we got Jimmy here, check this out. I forgot about these two things. Here we go. Check this out. Ready? It's uploading. Jimmy, talk about oxymoron, or what is that other word? It says processing. Come on, babies. I feel like here it is at the stage. Jesse, talk to Jimmy Bell about this.
This is the pot calling the kettle black.
People losing trust in their politicians. I saw that and I laughed.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're losing trust, not in politicians. Watchtower, they lost trust in you.
I know. That's why I'm saying the pot calling the kettle black. Nobody trusts Watchtower no more. And they're trying to evade the conversation. People still
And
trust politicians.
there's a lot of, I'll just say this, there's a lot of similarities between the way Watchtower is acting in that regard and what we see going on the political side of things.
Yeah,
there's
Look at this
way
one.
too many similarities.
Is social media harming your child? No. Social media is not disfellowshipping your child. Social media is not keeping your child from getting a blood transfusion. Social media is not driving, well, maybe it's driving some kids to suicide. No, Watchtower.
Hang on a second.
You are harming your child.
When was that put out?
Just a couple
today,
days ago.
Today. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Do you know what's in the news right now regarding something like that?
What?
No.
That there is a bill that they are trying to put through. I think it's our Congress, or there's a group shooting for it or something, but it's going on right now where they want to put a rating, a parental rating on social media platforms. That's been in the news this week. And Watchtower puts that, and basically it's because of wanting to protect kids from social media.
That's a rabbit hole. Wow.
And so now this comes out. Now this comes out with Watchtower. Interesting.
Yeah. And they all got iPads. What do you expect them to do with it? You know, and they've got rid of the Bible and everything's electronic. Mm-hmm.
If we went down that rabbit hole, we would find something. Yeah, and maybe somebody will.
See that's the thing. That's how I think about things now. You know, I used to not think like that. I just used to accept what was said and go with it, you know? But now it's like, I know my friends will be like, Jimmy, not everything's a conspiracy. Pretty much, yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be.
No, Jimmy, our buddy right there, George Norrie.
What's that say?
There are no such things as coincidence.
George I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Totally.
I thought he was crazy when I was in my 20s and I heard him talk like that. And the older I get, I'm like, oh my God, he's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. I don't believe in coincidences. And I think both you guys follow my Facebook page, right?
Well, no. And the governing body never get involved in anything. I have a helper. Jesse's my helper.
I do.
And he brings all the research to me. Yeah.
So you'll see me. You've seen me post stuff about, what a coincidence, huh?
Yeah, I read it and then I give it to Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange, and there's another thing, and this is just on me right now because I talked to an XJW tonight about this, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In the XJW community, what's one of the things that we expose Watchtower? What's one of the biggest things we expose them about them?
CSA. Yeah.
What's that?
CSA?
CSA. Okay. All right. Everybody does it. Everybody talks about it. Right?
Yes.
And Watchtower is evil, and this shouldn't be happening to anybody. So I was talking with a gentleman this evening who happens to be a Biden supporter. I'm not going to make I'm going somewhere with this. He happens to be a Biden supporter. Okay, that's fine if you want to do that. But my problem is the information that came out and was proven in court to be true about Ashley Biden's diary.
Oh yeah.
Are y'all familiar with that?
Yeah.
So we know in Ashley Biden's diary what that alluded to. Would you say that's true?
I think so.
So I just don't understand how you can speak out against CSA and Watchtower and be supportive of someone who has allegedly, I'll say that, committed pedophilia.
Well, I can answer that.
I just have a problem. I can't connect that.
I can answer it. I could try to answer it. But 30 years ago, I heard a gentleman by the name of Rush Limbaugh explain it to me. He said that failure is a resume enhancer for the leftists in America. So the more Gavin Newsom destroys California, the more the left will vote for him. The more children that the left hurts, the more the left will vote for him. In the left, failure is a resume enhancer.
Like right there. Look at it, Jesse. Failure. All of these men are failures, except the one right next to Nathan Noor. You see that guy next to Nathan Noor? He's, that's me. I was really young back then. But the resume enhancement, you're right. Why is it that men that don't have children and grandchildren get to be leaders of a religious organization?
Well, you know what? I really believe we're in a spiritual fight.
Yeah.
For example, I had a dream the other day about a memory dream, and I was remembering from the day Abraham Lincoln and how the reporters would talk about every Republican since Abraham Lincoln. The reporters would call him. If you remember, I remember how the reporters would write about Lincoln, and I read it in my books.
Oh, yeah.
The way they talked about Ulysses S. Grant, that he was stupid. The way Herbert Hoover, Teddy Roosevelt was a buffoon. Ronald Reagan was a cowboy. George Bush was a frat boy. Every Republican president, the media has destroyed as a stupid charlatan. The media since the day of Abraham Lincoln. Herbert Hoover, the Hoovervilles, and before the Great Depression. So what we're seeing now, I think, is karma, because everything every reporter has said about every Republican president is now coming true in the life of our current president. Everything. So
yeah.
I think karma is coming to life in our planet. All the chickens are coming home to roost.
I definitely believe, this is why I try not, when I'm talking with someone or having a conversation with them, I try to stay away from Republican versus Democrat. I really try to do that because that's meant to divide us.
Mm-hmm.
So what I try to do is realize, hey, we are in a battle for good versus evil. That we are in a spiritual warfare right now. And I try to get them to use their critical thinking. So, okay, so if this is done, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because it can only be either one of the two.
True.
Again,
I agree with you. But in my travel through history, I always align myself with certain men, like Herbert Hoover in his time, like Abraham Lincoln in his time, Ulysses S. Grant in his time, who were men of that party. So I'm not saying I'm a Republican. I'm just saying it's just funny how the spirit of the world attacks these men of this specific party. For example, freedom in the time of Lincoln was namely in the Republican Party.
Correct.
Freedom was not on the side of Woodrow Wilson.
No.
And then freedom took a turn. For example, in 1960, freedom was in the side of John F. Kennedy. It was.
Yes.
It was on so it changes. There's an ebb and a flow. I was just mentioning that it's funny how the spirit of the world attacks certain men as buffoons. And then when you have a real buffoon in office, the reporters can't see it.
And this is what he's saying. This is what he's saying, Jimmy.
I get that. I get that.
He's talking about the Moses and Pharaoh, how history has repeated itself with the 10 plagues. So what does Watchtower say? A Happy Family Life, their book, that came back and bit him in the butt. And just go over every Awake magazine, that karma came back. That if you look at every book that Watchtower has published, just look at the cover or their magazines, it's kind of like the Moses effect. It's coming back to haunt them.
Mm-hmm. That's why they want all their publications destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Before we got impeached in our first administration from Watchtower, and we were impeached our first time, we found out that maybe Jesus was going to come, but because they said millions now living will never die, just out of spite, he didn't come.
That's all.
Just to spite the Watchtower. That's one of the research we did when we were.
We were this close.
We were
of
this
already
close.
being in the neutral.
I want to touch on going back to the whole, there's certain people that we ascribe to or like or values with. As humans, by nature, we are tribal.
Yeah.
Okay. by nature, we're tribal.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to align with those who we feel would be good in our tribe. You know, when you have a tribe, everybody has a function in that tribe for it to grow, prosper, be healthy, all that. Everyone helps each other out. Okay. So I get that part. I totally get that part. But going about some of these individuals on the particular right side that were throughout the years, there's some of those folks that were put there to be the buffoon, to be the person that they would attack. Doesn't mean that they were really a good guy. I mean, like George Bush Jr. and Sr., evil guys. Evil. And
like a patsy. They were there to
yeah. So that way you could have this again, this is how I think. Let's put George Bush in for 8 years and just talk, or George Bush Jr., and let's just talk about how stupid he is and how he can't read and he messes this up and he messes this up. And then in 2007, we'll introduce Barack Obama. And people would go for that because he's articulate and all that stuff, what they said in the media, how they built that up. Mm-hmm. So these controllers have been playing the people for fools for so long. And like I said last week, a lot of people don't realize that everybody, literally everyone, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, everyone is a slave to this debt system that they got set up for all of us. Everyone. Yeah. We are all financial slaves. So to be arguing amongst ourselves would be like the people in Israel, remember when the Israelites left and everything, and there was some murmuring, but they were trying to get out of Egypt and all that. Correct. We're trying to get away from this stuff. We're trying to break ourselves free of this system that's been set upon all of us. But you got some over here that like the system, and they'll protect the system as hard as they can and make you feel stupid for doing it. Like, why you want to get off the plantation? Why you want to leave Egypt? Look at what we have and everything.
All the watermelon.
Yeah, and that's how people are today. That circling back to what we've originally talked about, that's why they're walking around in a haze.
Wait. Did you say circle back?
I did.
Oh, in our administration, we're going to avoid circling back.
Hey, but Jesse, okay. And the only thing I would add to that is that we are slaves to a system of things. And this is where our Christian brothers and sisters need to get off this moral high horse and say that word is not supposed to be in the Hebrew language. Of course not. The system of things is part of the New World Translation. This is how evil Watchtower is.
Oh, Watchtower is pure evil.
A system of things.
Let me ask Jimmy a question, though.
Go ahead.
Maybe I'm naive, but I really believe in the goodness of certain men. For example, in my heart, I believe in the greatness of Abraham Lincoln. In my heart, I believe in the greatness of Ulysses Grant, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan. I believe maybe they made stupid mistakes. Yes, I agree. But I
will agree with you on those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on those.
Yeah.
Lincoln, Grant, Kennedy. I didn't know much about Kennedy. I've learned a lot about him over the last 4 years with research. The dude was on point.
And I believe Jimmy Carter had a good heart. I really believe he loved America. I believe he was naive in his economics.
Agreed.
And in politics. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
So
that's all we agree on that. I understand what you're saying about tribalism when we start bringing up the R's and the D's. We got to avoid that. Yeah.
I just look at it this way. Let's pretend for a moment that there's no religion. None. Religion is gone from the face of the earth. Now let's pretend that there's no politics. Gone. doesn't exist, what would the world look like? How would you react if there was no religion and no politics? What would people have to do?
Work. I don't know.
Get a job.
Get a job.
No, they would have to learn to live with one another.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And we would have to learn to live in the spirit of humanity.
Right.
Hey, there's no religion, there's no politics, there's no one here telling us what to do or what to believe or how to think, whatever. We have no control over us right now. What could you accomplish as a society of human beings if you weren't handcuffed?
Yeah.
Because
look,
the human mind is amazing.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we can do, but we can't because we've been controlled.
Yeah. And look, let me explain on religion, no religion. And I'm going to talk about homosexuality. A lot of people don't like to talk about homosexuality. Now, we at the GG for GB campaign, everybody thinks we're anti-homosexual, but I want to tell you a little story. Because we're rabidly heterosexual. We like the babes. We believe in the female movement. And we back the female movement. But one of Gilbert's best friends, one of Gilbert's love of his life in family, was a flaming homosexual.
Okay.
And he was a family member. But he loved Gilbert like a father, like a brother. Like, he loved Gilbert intensely, and they loved each other. And he was a Catholic, and he was gay, and he was prostitute. But Gilbert loved him, and he loved him back, and they worked together. Because there was no politics and no religion. We loved each other as human beings,
Exactly.
But in the religion and in politics, when we get into politics, we hate each other. Mm-hmm. But homosexuals and heterosexuals have always lived together on the planet. It's not till we put it into politics that we want to kill each other.
Correct. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree. And like I said, when it comes to that issue, I have two really good friends in my business that are the LGBT community. And I've spoken to them several times about some of the issues that have gone on the last 4 years. And I will tell you, they, as gay women, are not happy with what's being presented in the media and everything. They are not happy with it. Mm-hmm. Because I literally had one tell me the other night, I actually called her up because I said, I want to put a post out, but I knew of her being gay and I didn't want to hurt her feelings or offend. So I called her to ask for advice. And she literally said, Jimmy, she says, this community has been hijacked to push an agenda to normalize pedophilia.
Yeah.
That came from my lesbian friend that I've known for years.
Yeah.
That's not me saying it. So now my personal opinion is with that issue, hey, do what you want. It doesn't affect me. If it's bad or in God's eyes, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And notice I said if, whatever. It's not my deal. And I'm not going to hate somebody because I don't live in that vibration because if that's their persuasion. I'm not going to hate them because of that.
So
that last point, that's because I'm breaking that system in my life of control.
Okay. You're breaking the system, yeah. Well, Jesse and I kind of look at it different because our dad would always ingrain in us the words of Benito Juarez, the president of Mexico, during the time of a contemporary of Abraham Lincoln. And in every Spanish-speaking country, the word, and even in the United States, in Washington, D.C., the words are written in stone. He goes, amongst nation and amongst men, the respect for individual rights is peace. So if you do an algebra and you go backwards, the reason we don't have peace is because somebody is disrespecting the personal rights of another individual. So that's why we go to war, whether it's a nation or people. So The reason we have problems is because you're bringing your sexual proclivities into legislation, or you're bringing your religious ideas into legislation. There's worlds, when everybody understands, hey, I can keep this in this world, but I can't bring this to that world. And it goes
Correct.
back to the Horton Hears a Who book. There's worlds upon worlds upon worlds. And when we learn to live amongst different worlds, it's just when in Rome, we do as Romans do. When I'm in Rome, I'm going to do as Romans. But you don't do your dirty laundry in public. You do your dirty laundry in private.
Correct.
And to quote some other guy, he goes, I think it's Judge Joe Brown. He goes, if you want to get your kink on, get your kink on, but respect other people's privacy, and it's the boundaries. And that's why we don't have peace.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why
totally.
I'm TV.
Yeah. So I love talking about topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And, I was actually talking to one of my, she sent me a message the other day, and she's like, Jimmy, she says, I'm just not interested in politics. It bores me. I don't get it. And I told her, I said, you know what? That's okay. I said, because that's what they've wanted people. They don't want people talking about politics and religion, because those are the two things that are used the most to exert their control. Mm-hmm. And why is it that whenever you go to a family gathering or whatever, oh, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics? Why? We have to have these conversations. Yeah. It may be uncomfortable for you and for me, but it has to be done. Mm-hmm. And the one of the biggest things I've learned about being friends with John, XJW Analyzer, is we've learned how to agree to disagree on things. There's things that he just does not believe the way I do, and there's things I don't believe the way he does.
Correct.
But what we did before we went down, oh, well, I disagree with you, this, we figured out, okay, what do we agree upon first? Do we agree that everyone should have the right to live in peace? Mm-hmm. Do we agree that there's people that are trying to control us? Do we agree that people should be able to get along and not be assholes to one another? So me and John found out that we agree on about 90% of our core values. So that when it comes to the time when we talk about stuff that we disagree about, we can have a mutually respectful conversation with one another. And then we can see why the other person is saying that. You get their perspective. And people need to learn how to do that.
So Jesse and I have a little different approach. We like to say to your friend, he has every right to be wrong.
Be wrong. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, see, when you build a friendship,
yeah,
you can have those type of conversations. Yeah. I'm like, John, you're absolutely out of your mind.
Yeah.
Look, this is the reason why you're out of your mind. But we do it in a respectful, fun way.
Yeah. Because look, when I see you and John together on the round table, when I see your group,
yeah,
and you just told me what you just said, I would never have guessed it. I thought you and John were 100% on top on everything. That's the way you guys come across to us. Mm-hmm.
No, because we talk about the things we agree upon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If we would have done a video, in April of 2020, oh, you'd been like, why are these two guys friends?
You never see that on video.
Yeah. Because we have those conversations in private between me and him.
Yeah.
We don't pull everybody else into it. We don't pull people, because then people start taking sides.
Now we see how you humans work, because we at the GG for GB campaign, we agree 100% on everything all the time. So it's real neat. The more contact we have with you, the more we learn.
Tell them what we agree on.
Huh?
Tell them what we agree on.
That we agree that we're right 99.8% of the time. And every once in a while, we have to get comments from the viewers to see how the other half lives.
Yeah. And, speaking of that, Jesse, this is very important because Jimmy Bell alluded to it earlier. And this is for all of you that make videos. If you make Jehovah's Witness video content, stuff like that, sometimes you just need to tune out. And that's why Jesse literally is my helper. I don't watch your videos unless Jesse tells me, hey, Gilbert, you need to see this. And the reason why is because sometimes you get fog. If for example, Jimmy Bell, have you ever noticed that if you're listening to other people's videos, that you can't come up with a fresh take? You're not fresh because in your mind, you're talking about what they're talking about. But in order to come up, sometimes you got to get rid of the noise. And
go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you're a creator, it's kind of hard to create when all of this noise is behind you. But Jesse will sometimes say, hey, you need to see what Jimmy Bell just said, or you need to see this, and then I will. But I can't let other people, clog.
I know exactly what you're saying. And I agree with it because there's been times on my end where I've just had to take a break from listening to certain things because either I was finding myself in an echo chamber, like, for example, the XJW community. If somebody woke up from Watchtower today, right today,
correct?
Do you think there's enough information out there already that will help them completely wake up?
Oh yeah.
That's why I don't do videos that much anymore, because it already exists.
Correct.
I'm looking for a different spin on things, a different take on things, to think outside the box. So yeah, there are sometimes I step away for a while. I won't make a video for at times 3-4 months. And usually I don't do videos until something hits me that I feel I have to put out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because because it's in my head and I start thinking about it and I lay down in bed and I'm like, okay, how can I say this? Blah, blah, blah. So it's in me. I got to put it out. So,
John Lennon talked about that. I saw an interview with him years ago, and he said that when he was working on an album, he said that he didn't buy no records, nothing. He locked himself in and he had his ideas. And then right before he was going to release his album, he would go to the record store and buy like 19, 20 albums and listen to what's going on. But he didn't want to be tainted with the info out there. He wanted to have his fresh take, his fresh sound, what was in his mind. I just thought it was real neat.
And this just hit me when you said that. Think about when people are watching the news. You watch 30 minutes of mainstream media news. Maybe you had the greatest day at work and you're having a really great day. And at 6 o'clock, you turn on the news and you watch that for 30 minutes.
Negative energy.
Compare the feeling you had before you watched it and after you watched it. If you feel like, oh my God, this world is crazy, we're all going to die, blah, blah, blah. If you feel that, you've succumbed to that negative vibration.
Exactly.
And if you were to tune it out, then the way you felt before you watched it could have lasted you all night long. So yeah, it's good to tune things out sometimes.
Yeah.
Because that frees up your mind. You're putting stuff in your head. You don't have the news putting stuff in your head. You don't have Watchtower putting stuff in your head. You have you putting stuff in your head.
And creating.
And yes. And that's what we all are. We are all, everyone has creative abilities inside of them. Everyone.
Well, not everyone. Because there's Geary.
King of Dots, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's King of Dots, so not everybody.
But it's in there somewhere for you. It's in there. It's just, are you going to access it?
We're just being smartasses. We're just joking. Yeah.
Oh, I know you guys are great. This is. I'm actually enjoying this. This is fun.
Yeah, I forget who it was. Oh, I think it was Joe and Fran. He couldn't believe it. I go, man. I go, Jesse and I can talk about this stuff all day. About God and politics, and he couldn't believe it. But the only thing we don't talk about is sex. But the greatest subjects to talk about are sex, religion, and politics.
You know how we're right 99.4% of the time we said. Well, that 0.6 is when Gilbert's talking. When we're wrong. Yeah. Other time we're on.
See, I won't. I see. There's some things. I'll just say this because we're in the spirit of having fun. John sends me messages now, and he's like, "Jimmy, how'd you know about that? Damn, Jimmy, you called that." He's like, "Holy crap, you're about 95% right every time you send me something." That's coming from John. That's just conversations we have, because he's like, "Holy crap, how did you know that?" And this is an interesting little interaction me and him have.
One of the reasons we live in the world of we don't live in the research world. Me and Gilbert don't do a lot of research. We really believe in common sense.
Yes.
We
Yes.
consider ourselves American patriots. We really do. But one of the things that happens with the common sense is sometimes you're so wrapped up in the research. Like, for instance, look at CNN. They did so much research. If they had a little common sense, they would have known that this gentleman shouldn't have been out there. They should have practiced a little bit of common sense and a little bit less research. And that's what happens sometimes. We're so busy that we don't use our common sense. Our God.
Well, sometimes the only area I'll push back on that is sometimes you have to do the research to know what's going on to be able to identify things that are like, oh, well, that's just common sense. Why would they do that?
Yes.
Or why is that?
Let me give you an example.
See, you got to have a little knowledge with it too. But I get what you're saying.
In 1975, 1976, when we were kids, me and Gilbert, I remember, Gilbert can attest to it. When I was a baby, Gilbert, from the moment I was born, I was an apostate, huh? And you guys had to beat me to be a Jehovah's Witness. They literally had to drag me into the car. When I heard the system of things, for example, back in the 70s, I had nightmares. It stunted my growth. That's why I'm 5'5". I would have been 6 foot tall. I could have been a contender. But I was scared of the system of things. And that was my common sense was talking to me, because I believed in the end of the ages, end of the world. But the words, and I didn't have no research because I was a little kid. I was only 5 or 6 years old. I didn't know why the system of things gave me nightmares. I knew it was some kind of Illuminati, but I didn't have no research. I didn't know. It's some kind of gobbledygook, but I know that the word system of things did not come from God. I knew it was a satanic inspired expression, but I couldn't have put it into words.
To kind of go along with that about a childhood remembering, we were talking about, y'all were talking about the Watchtower teaches to hate, right?
Correct.
So I remember personally being back in kindergarten, and there were some friends I made in school, and I came home and told my mom about them. I'm like, Mom, and blah, 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 blah. And she says, well, you're not supposed to be hanging out with them. Why? They're good. They're my good friends. I mean, I have fun with them in school. We get along. And as I got older, first grade, second grade, hey, Mom, can I have this person? Ben Clark. Ben Clark was my best friend from first grade to sixth grade. And he was a little black boy. And me and him we battled with grades. We battled for in PE and everything. We were always battling each other, but we were trying to make each other better with things. He was my best friend ever in grade school. And my mom would not let him sleep over. I couldn't go over his house. I was told that bad association spoils useful habits. So my mom taught me that I should be different and I should hate this person that's not a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
When he was my best friend. Yeah. And again, going back to if there was no religion on the face of this earth, me and Ben would still be friends today. I mean, I just don't know where he's at now. I mean, I'm sure we'd still be friends, but you know what I mean? Yeah. It would have been a different situation. he would have been able to come over, spend the night. I could go hang out with him.
That's a shame. Going back to that research thing, Jesse talked about common sense. I'm going to throw a different angle. Jesus said, pay attention to how you listen. So a man gets a divorce, a woman gets a divorce, and then after the divorce, they're like, I remember him or her saying this. How, why was I so blind? Well, you were blind because you weren't listening. So it goes all back to balance. You can't have research without listening or common sense. All of these other qualities too, you have to mix them all in. And a lot of times we just don't listen. So what good is research if you don't listen? What good is listening if you don't research? It all has to be a perfect balance.
Yes.
And I've noticed that a lot as Jehovah's Witnesses, we were trained by the reasoning book and the service meeting.
I was getting ready to say that.
Question, and then when they give the wrong answer, 99.9% of the time, come back with this answer.
Yes.
They're training you not to listen.
Correct. And in my business, y'all know I sell insurance.
Yeah.
And so when I'm talking to my prospective clients and I ask them a question, I have to listen to what they say, because I've got to be able to develop a product that benefits them. And Watchtower didn't teach us how to do that.
That was my point.
What Gilbert always says.
You were trained for failure. You were trained for failure.
No, but what Jimmy said, Gilbert, is what you always say. They teach you not to listen.
Yes.
We don't listen.
And I think that and I think that has bled over into the XJW community some. That's one thing that I would say needs to be worked on if we were doing a local needs is folks need to learn to listen more and not fall back on, quote, the reasoning book. This is my scripted answer. This is what I'm going to put it out there because you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. No, listen to what I'm saying and let's talk about it.
Yeah. Remember when Bill Gates is talking in that famous, he goes, if we do this, we could cut the population by 10, 20%. Listen to what he's telling you.
Yes,
oh my God,
exactly.
Listen.
And that's the other.
What?
That's the other thing. These people that have been controlling us and kept us all slaves, they will tell you what they're going to do to you. They have to.
They have to.
It's in their creed. Because
or the laws of the universe.
Yeah, it's called karmic retribution. They don't want that coming back on them. So they'll say, well, we tried to tell them, they just weren't listening.
Yeah. Well, Carol Paradise says, many of us threw our independent thinking out of the Kingdom Hall doors once we walked in. True. But my brother Jesse says that when we went to the Kingdom Hall, they checked their brain at the door.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I just wish people would just. I just want to see everyone. I know it sounds so freaking cliche, but I just want to see people get along with each other.
Yeah.
And I put on a post tonight. I said I'm all about love, unity. What was the other word I had on there? Love and peace or unity. I'm all about that. I am. But I'll speak up when I think I need to say something.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Did you serve as an elder or ministerial servant?
I served as neither.
Okay.
I was a regular pioneer.
Could I ask a question?
Okay.
About something you mentioned?
Sure.
Yeah, I was interested in this laws of karmic retribution. Could you explain those a little more? I would like to understand it.
Okay, I'll explain it the best way I can. These powers to be, we'll just call them the deep state, Illuminati, the globalists. Hey, we'll call it Watchtower for all that matter. They have to put out what their plan is. If they're going to start a pandemic, if they're going to start a war, start something, or whatever, it's those subliminal messages that they put in their movies. Or when it comes to pedophilia, there's actually FBI symbols for pedophilia. And they'll put those images in movies, in material, everything like that. That is their way in their thinking that they're telling the people what they're doing. The people don't really know what's going on, so they just go ahead and follow it without knowing, without the knowledge. Right. And so now in their heads, they can say, well, hey, we told the people we wanted to normalize pedophilia. They didn't push back on it, so it's not our fault. It's their fault.
Correct. I would also talk about how
why do they have to do it, so everybody knows about it? I mean,
okay.
Some cosmic law.
Let me say
what'd she say?
Well, she wants to go ahead and ask her one more time.
What I wanted to ask is, why do they have to put these laws out there? Why can't they do it in secret?
Okay, so simple. Let me tell you why.
Out there at all.
This is how I learned it. In the third dimension that we live on Earth, I have to abide by the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Arizona, and the Maricopa County or Yuma County, wherever I reside. So I am bound by laws in the third dimension. Well, if Satan and others live in the fourth, fifth, sixth dimension, they are bound by certain rules too. We don't know exactly what they are, but we do know that the fourth dimension cannot come into our world without certain rules. So, and that's part of what he's talking about.
That's a good explanation. I like that.
Yeah. So they're under rules too.
Yeah, they have their own belief system as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like any other good religion, they're trying to force that upon the people.
Right.
And it ties back. That Watchtower does.
Yeah.
That Watchtower does the same thing.
Yes, but don't think that just because Satan is the ruler of the world, he's not without any laws. He has laws just like everybody else has laws. And,
yes.
And there's certain, and Job chapter 2 describes that. There's certain laws.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, we're going to be wrapping it up because we got somewhere to go. But guess what? I'm going to show this to you because next week, or not next week, if Rick Farron invites us back on,
he will.
Oops, let me get this out. If Rick Farron invites us back on, our next topic is going to be, am I really Satan? Let me see if I get full view. Oh, no, because that StreamYard link is right there. But in the bottom, it says, am I really Satan? Really? And you notice how Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witnesses always call you Satan. Your family members call you Satan.
Gilbert, my mother told me that I was just a tool of Satan.
We're going to talk about that in the next show. Really?
Yeah. Really? Okay, that'd be interesting.
Donald Trump is Hitler. Really?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna. We're wrapping up. I'm not even going to go there tonight, but I'm willing to go there if you want to have a conversation. Not tonight. Not tonight.
Let me just throw one thing before we go, and it's great to talk with you. I mean, it's been a highlight for us.
Thank you.
And John too.
I've enjoyed it.
I really love his stuff.
Appreciate it.
The Hispanic community, we think we could be wrong, but that there's growth in Watchtower, and it's directly related to immigration. Now, I could be full of crap. But that's what I see in my community. Do you guys see that back east or in different towns? That's what I wish other people would post.
I can't give an answer to that. Yeah, I can't give an answer to that because I have no interaction with any of the Hispanic congregations in the area. I just don't know.
That's what we see. That's what we see in the immigrant population. It's growing. For example, in Africa, in those African nations and third world nations, the Jehovah's Witnesses are pretty strong. And I think the same thing is happening in America. So as a lot of the English are being replaced.
Wow, that goes into a whole nother rabbit hole right there.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah,
the whole great replacement thing. That's what it. I can talk about that for a while too.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there. We'll talk about it later.
We're going to go have dinner, but check this out. So if you guys want us to come back on the 6 screens, a lot of people say bad things about my brother Jesse and I, and one of the bad things that they say is, so all you have to say is, Rick, Can you get those two gurus in drag back on the show?
Oh my God.
Christ, you know what I
everything they
mean?
said.
Yeah.
Everything they say about us is true.
Everything they say about us is true. We're two gurus in drag. Bring us back on the show. We hope you guys like it.
It reminds me of a meme that says, "Oh, I heard the rumor about me too. Can you tell me what I did next?"
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And should we show them the clip of the next song? Yeah. In our next one, we're going to invite more people to get on the StreamYard.
Oh yeah, Marvin Gaye.
I want a witness.
So we need more of you guys on the show. Can we get a
That
witness?
was so loud.
Yeah.
We need more Marvin Gaye.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, boss.
Thank you, Jimmy. God
All right, y'all have a great night.
You too. Yeah. So next week, Jesse. Next week, or not next week? The next time we're on. Really, Satan? We're Satan. Now they never called me Satan, but they call you Satan.
Hey, Gilbert.
Yeah.
When you talk to Rick, thank him for us.
Oh yeah. We got to thank and listen. We said in the beginning, don't like and subscribe. That's on my channel. But when you're on the Rick Farron channel and his show, give him thumbs up, give him the likes. He does this all with his money. He's not looking for money. He's not. He just that's what he wants. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And if you struggled through our program, give us a like. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're watching this and you need us to talk a little slower on the next video, please put that in the comments section and we'll do our best to.
Gilbert, that's a good point. That's a very good point because a lot of our Jehovah's Witness brothers, they have cognitive dissonance, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have to talk slower.
Yeah, because Jimmy Bell was talking really fast and the Jehovah's Witness brothers. But you can also watch, that's live. But you can also go back on the YouTube channel and on the speed, you can hit 0.5. Okay, that might help a lot of the Jehovah's Witness brothers.
Let's get off. We'll start our judicial committee and see where we could put Jimmy Bell in our cabinet.
Yeah. And where's Dan Clark? We had a great introduction for Dan. He didn't show up.
No. Well, maybe he could be our press secretary.
That's right.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to go have dinner. We'll see you guys later. Thank you, Rick, and we'll see you on the next one.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
And now, in Disney.